Welcome students, this is Mr. Boyd. In this lesson we're going to look at using equations to solve word problems. So to start with, we want to highlight our steps. So just like the lesson from yesterday, we're going to use the same steps. We're going to define a variable, we're going to write an equation and solve it, and then we're going to write a sentence that answers the question. The easiest way to do that is to restate the question with the answer in it. You'll see some more of that in just a moment. Let's move on down here to our first example. So in this example, I noticed that I have 331 students that went on a field trip, 6 buses were filled, and 7 students traveled in cars. How many students were on each bus? So I'm going to let the question help me set up the variable. So I'm going to let B equal the number of students on the bus. Now I also notice that I've got a total of 331 kids. So I've got to ask myself, how did we get that total of 331? Well, we had some buses, we had some bus students, plus some car students based on this situation. Because we had some students that traveled by bus and 7 students traveled by car. How would I figure out the total number of bus students? Well, there were 6 buses and B on each bus, so that would be the total bus students. Okay, so if I come over here and substitute this for what I have, or for what I'm asking, bus students, that would be 6B, plus number of car students is just 7, and that equals 331. And then of course we would solve this by subtracting 7 and dividing by 6 and get our answer of B equals 54 students on each bus. And so then we would write a sentence that would say there are 54 students on each bus. Students, let's take a look at the next problem. So in the next problem, we are told that the sum of 3 consecutive even numbers is 120. What are the 3 numbers? So I'm looking for 3 numbers. I'm told that the sum, so I know this is an addition problem. I'm looking for 3 consecutive even numbers, and that equals 120. Okay? So I was always confused on consecutive even numbers or consecutive numbers, but consecutive just means one number after the other. And since we're talking about even numbers, that would be numbers like 2, 4, and 6. Okay? Now, you always, when you're working with these consecutive number problems, always let your first number, define your first number as the variable n for the first number, n standing for number. For your second number, you have to ask yourself, how do I go from one even number to the next even number? Well, if I'm going from one even number to the next even number, I have to add 2 to the previous number. So since my previous number was n, the second number would be n plus 2. Now, to get to my third number, I would have to add 2 to the previous number. So that would be n plus 2 plus another 2. Well, 2 plus 2 is 4. So that's really just n plus 4. Now, I'm told that this is the sum of 3 consecutive even numbers. So that would mean that when I put the equation together, n plus 2 plus n plus 4 is going to equal 120. So next I can collect my like terms or combine my like terms, and I would have 3n plus 6 equals 120. I would subtract 6 from both sides. 3n equals 114. Divide by 3 to isolate n, and n equals 38. Now that's just the first number. To get the second number, I would add 2, and to get the third number, I would add 2 more. So my three numbers are 38, 40, and 42. So 38, 40, 40, and 42 are the even numbers that add up to 120. Okay? All right, guys, I'd like you to pause the video and try the next one. Okay, guys, I'm now back with you. So we've got three numbers again that we're looking for. The first one, again, is always going to be n. To get to the second consecutive number, now notice we're not looking for evens or odds, so to get to the next consecutive number, I would just add 1. And to get to the third consecutive number, I would add 1 more, which would give us n plus 2. It says we're finding the sum of these three numbers again, so that would be n plus n plus 1 plus n plus 2. And that's going to equal 117 this time around. So I'm going to collect my like terms. That's going to give me 3n. 1 plus 2 is going to give me 3. And I'm going to have 117 as my sum. I would subtract 3. 3n equals 114. Divide by 3. N equals 38. I see here again, I just need the smallest of the three. So 38 is the smallest of the three numbers whose sum is 117. Okay, guys, we're going to jump down to the next example. We're going to skip one and jump to the worked example on Trinity paid $26.50 for a shirt with sales tax of 6% included, but she does not remember the price without tax. What was the price of the t-shirt or the price of the shirt? Okay, so let's let P equal the price. Okay, now we have to ask ourselves, how does a problem like this get put together? How do you find the price of something with the sales tax? Well, you start out with the price of the item, the price, plus the sales tax is going to give you your total. Okay, so we've already defined the price as P. Now we have to ask ourselves, how do we find the sales tax? Well, sales tax is the percentage of the price, but we need to change percent to a decimal anytime we multiply or divide percents. So we're going to change this to 0.06. 6% is 0.06. You would move the decimal 2 places to the left. So that would be P plus 0.06 times P, and that's going to give us our total of $26.50. I'm going to go ahead and combine my like terms here. I've got a 1P plus a 0.06P for 1.06P equals $26.50. And of course, to solve this, I would divide by 1.06. And that would give me a solution of P equals, let me pull up my calculator here, 2650 divided by 1.06. It's going to give me a total of $25. So I would say the price of the shirt was $25 before tax. Okay. All right, you guys could go ahead and try the your turn problem. Pause the video, and then you can check it. Okay, guys, so go ahead and check your work against mine, and let's see how you did. I ended up with 1.07p equals 53.50 divided by 1.07, and I got the price as $50. Okay, let's move down to this worked example here because we need to see what it looks like when we have variables on both sides using a word problem. So when I read this, I see the town's population is 14,000 and it's increasing by 160 people every year. I've got a second town, another town, that has a population of 24,000 and it's decreasing by 200 every year, excuse me. And about how many years will the town's populations be equal? So all of this tells me how to set up the problem. So I'm going to let y equal the number of years. Okay? So let's see here. That's going to give me, I need to know that the population of town A, population of one town, I'll call it town A, needs to equal the population of town B. So to set that up, the population for town A, we'll call this town A over here, the first one, would be 14,000. We started with 14,000 people. It's increasing, so we're adding 160 people per year times the number of years. For the population of town B, it's starting with 24,000, but it's decreasing, so we're going to subtract 200 people per year times the number of years. And so there we see our equation, and we just need to solve that equation to find our solution.